Good evening and welcome to all of our viewers and listeners joining me on television, on Facebook Live, and on Freedom Radio. A special good evening to you all. I want to begin tonight by speaking a little about the rally that we had in Albion over the weekend, where we saw massive crowds coming out in support of the People's Progressive Party. There is no doubt in my mind that the momentum is with the People's Progressive Party Civic, and we are upbeat and we are ready for elections. We've had more than a year now to prepare for these elections, and even though Guyanese have been disappointed, and we have been disappointed by the delay in elections, something good came out of the delay. And that is, it has made us stronger as a party. It has made us more united as a party. It made us work harder, longer. We had more time to plan for these elections. We had more time not only to plan for E-Day, but to plan for the future for all Guyanese. We've had a lot of consultations that we've held with civil society, the religious community, sporting organizations, many organizations. And out of those consultations came our very impressive manifesto that we are very proud of, and that we will release very soon in the full version. The excerpts are out, and our activists are on the ground, going house to house, trying to get the message to everyone. So one good thing has come out of that, and that has made us, the delay has made us stronger and even more prepared for elections and for taking back government. On the other hand, it has made the APNU and the AFC weaker. It has shown over the past year what they are capable of. We have heard many speakers, even before they won the elections in 2015, many politicians who were on their side and who came to join us, like Joseph Hamilton, for example, former member of parliament, who spoke to the public many times about the nature of the PNC and about the nature of David Granger, and he warned the public about who these people are and that it's still in their nature to be dictators. And we have seen over this past year, with their flagrant violation of the Constitution, with their behavior towards the court ruling, openly disobeying court rulings, we have seen the nature of the beast. And over this period, they've tried to now make up for the 4 years in which they did nothing. And so their incompetence is on full display for all of Guyana to see. And so even though we've had this delay, we are certainly in a better position to sweep the elections come March 2nd, 2020. And if the local government elections is any indication as to what we can do and the margin with which we can win by, we won those local government elections in 2018 by more than 50,000 votes. And that is at the local level. So you can imagine what will happen come the general and regional elections on March 2nd. We want to make sure that we deliver a victory in which there can be no question as to who won the elections. There can be no question as to whether there needs to be a recount. The win must be so massive. We expect that, and we're asking our supporters to go out in their numbers, to go with the same enthusiasm with which they come to our rallies. They have to go out with that same type of enthusiasm and eagerness on election day and vote with confidence in the People's Progressive Party and give us a landslide victory so that the APNU and the AFC must not even think to put a elections petition in questioning the results of those elections. We must devastate them at the polls. So, and I was proud, and I am proud to see the support, the public support that we've been getting, not only at the rallies, but the turnout on nomination day was magnificent. And even though we had some hiccups along the route, and we saw some APNU supporters try to confront us, you know, I was in the crowd walking with the people, and I felt their eagerness to get us to the Humanayana and to get our list in, and there was no sense of fear, and I was very, very proud of our supporters for showing that type of bravery and that type of resistance. And I hope that I hope that maintains until March 2nd. Now, I was also in Linden over the weekend. Did a few meetings in Linden in 3 small communities, 3 Friends, Old England, and Nottinghamshire, 3 communities where I've never been before in Linden, and it was an absolute pleasure holding those 3 meetings there. And all of these meetings in Linden was going on while we were having the big rally in Albion. And, you know, I said to the people there, and I will say this to you now, that even though all eyes were in Albion, we still found it necessary to go and to reach out to smaller communities simultaneously, because those communities mean a lot to us. Those communities have been devastated. Those communities have been neglected. They said to me that they never saw a minister since 2015, since before the elections in 2015. They never saw any minister from the APNU AFC administration. And, you know, they were so happy that somebody from Georgetown could come and speak to them. So the importance, and this shows the thinking of the PPP, that we are not leaving any community behind. No community is too small for us to visit. If I'm at a public meeting and there's one person there, we will hold a meeting and we will tell you what our plans are, because every single voter is important to us and every single vote is important come March 2nd, 2020, because every Guyanese deserves a chance to participate in the electoral process, to exercise their franchise, that is the right to vote, and they deserve to live in a country that is developed, that is flourishing, and that can provide the opportunities for them to have the real good life, not the good life that the APNU AFC is promising them. Now, while all of this is going on, and both political parties, or all the political parties, should be focusing on the future and what their plans are for the future of this country and for the citizens of this country. Yesterday, the matter in the court concerning the removal of, or the block to the removal of non-residents from the NRR, the arguments began yesterday in the Court of Appeal. And this is what, excuse me, this is what Basil Williams and the APNU are focused on at this point, when we are so close to a general elections. They are in the court arguing that residency is a requirement to vote. Now, residency is not a requirement in our constitution, is not a pre-requirement to the right to vote. This was a requirement in the 1966 and 1970 constitutions, but this was removed in the 1980 constitution, which we still have today. And so when that residency requirement was removed, remember in the 80s when Burnham was president, you had overseas voting and you had horses and donkeys voting overseas. What happened in 1991 was that overseas voting was abolished, but residency was not made a requirement. And so Guyanese who are living overseas can still participate in our elections, can still participate in the electoral process as long as they come home and they vote on Guyana's soil. So they cannot vote where they are overseas, but they must come home and vote. And proof of residency here is not a requirement. The only thing that you need to be eligible to vote is that you must be registered. That is the requirement, that your name must be on the voters list, the official list of electors as it is called. That is the requirement to vote. And in order for you to get on the list, you must be registered. And for you to be registered, you must be a citizen of Guyana and you must be 18 years old at the specified date. And of course, they have the other rules surrounding the Commonwealth citizens and so on. But essentially, as long as you're Guyanese, born in this country, and you've attained the age to vote, you can get registered. And as long as you're registered, no matter where in the world you live, as long as you come home, you can vote on Elections Day. And we're encouraging all Guyanese who live overseas to come home and participate in this process. You're not only voting for your family who still live here, you're not only voting for their future, you're voting for your country, and you're voting maybe, hopefully, under a PPP administration, you can think about moving back home. Because by the time we get into office and we start to implement our plans, all eyes will be on our economy. All the world's eyes will be on Guyana. And I'm sure many, many of you would be very, very happy to return to Guyana by the time we start to transform this country. And so, in this crucial time, this is what Basil Williams is spending his time in the courts doing, arguing about residency, and that residency should be a requirement, and that the Chief Justice erred when she said they couldn't remove persons from the National Register of Registrants, the non-residents persons. So, you have to wonder almost, do these people realize that the 2nd of March is right around the corner? And, we are asking the court, the attorneys, Anil Nandalal and Ralph Ramkaran, have made it clear to the court that this is not what we should be doing, that this is out of the court's jurisdiction, as a matter of fact, at this point, because a date for elections has been proclaimed. The date has been given by David Granger. And so this is not the appropriate time for this argument to be happening. And the argument is clearly bad in law, because clearly the Constitution does not have residency as a requirement to vote. Now, also happening, like I said, on nomination day, we submitted our list of candidates, and I urge people to go and check the list of candidates that we have. Young, fresh faces, qualified people, technically qualified, very eager to serve, young budding politicians who have only Guyana's interests at heart. And the PPP has already begun to deliver on its promises, and they promise that the youths will be more involved, and you have a list that is very, very well balanced in terms of gender, youth, ethnicity, religion, and across. It reflects every Guyanese. It reflects all Guyanese. So we urge you to take a look at our list. Young, qualified professionals who are willing and eager to serve you, the people. Contrast that with the list that was presented by the APNU AFC. And in classic APNU AFC fashion, they say one thing and they do the opposite. So they are again trying to court the youth vote like they did in 2015, but they go on nomination day and they submit a list that, in which they just recycled the fossils that they have there in government. So you see the same names again. You see maybe one or two young persons on the list, but mostly it's just the same fossils that they have in government. So clear indications. These are the signs that they say we want the youths involved, but they do not submit a fresh list. They have no new faces. And they can't get the new faces anyway, because they have nothing that attracts young people. They are contesting the March 2nd election, which is a little over a month from now, and we still don't have a manifesto from the APNU AFC. I mean, they might as well bring back their 2015 manifesto, because they still they haven't gotten past the first few pages. They haven't implemented their 100-day plan as yet. So they might as well recycle the manifesto as well. They're recycling everything. They might as well recycle the manifesto, because they can't come with anything new. And even on the campaign trail, they are the incumbent. They are the incumbents. And when a government is going for re-election, or a political party is going for re-election, they go on the platform and they should be able to hold up their manifesto and say, look, these are the things that we pledged to the country that we would do, and this is what we did. Tick, tick, tick. These are the things that we did while in office. They can't do that because they won't get past the first 2 pages. So they can't do that. So what do? I've been listening to them talking at their public meetings, and it's so hard to listen to, because on one hand it's comical, but on the other hand it's infuriating, because in this day and age, this is what they're going to the population with. They're talking about JAGDEO, and they're talking about the PPP. The JAGDEO and the PPP are not in office. They are not in opposition. They are in government. So they should be going to the electorate and saying, re-elect us. Let us continue our work, because we have done A, B, C, D, E, and they're supposed to be able to give the electorate the whole list and say, on these merits, this is why you should re-elect us. Let us continue our work. Let us continue the progress that we've made over the 5 years. They can't do that. They can't do that because there has been no progress. They haven't implemented a single original plan since 2015. They haven't implemented a single transformational project or plan in this country since being in office. All they have done is to take care of themselves, beginning with one of their first offensive acts, which is to raise their own salaries by more than 50%. So if they were to run on their record, it would be a bad day. They can't run on their record, because there is no record to run on. So they're still telling people about the PPP and about JAGDEO, and not running on the things that they have done. If they were to list the things that they have done, that would include the salary increase. It would include the the corruption, it would include the incompetence, it would include all of the missing monies, it would include how many buildings they painted green, it would include how many arches they built, and the likes. Nothing solid. Painting buildings green and insisting that when they sit down to eat that they have green napkins, and building arches do not move Guyana forward, does not put food on people's tables. It does not improve the lives of Guyanese. It doesn't make education better, healthcare better. It doesn't provide housing. It doesn't provide any income for the country whatsoever. All of their plans and policies have just been to suck the economy dry. Everything that they've implemented is to dry up the economy, because their only idea of making money in office is through the process of taxation. So they have no idea how to invest in the economy. They have no idea how to get the economy going. They don't know anything about managing an economy. They don't know anything about management, period. So they're about consumption. And all they've done is implement consumption tax after consumption tax to get all of the disposable income that we as Guyanese once had, and all they've done is run down the reserves, all of the reserves that the PPP left there. So a vote for the APNU AFC will be a vote for decline in our economy. It's happening already, and it will only get worse. And they come and they tell you, excuse me, the audacity that they have to put Granger's face on a flag next to the words honesty and decency. It is audacious, I should say, because imagine you're standing in the Durban Park and you're talking about honesty and decency. You're standing in a facility that, according to the Auditor General's report, has $600 million unaccounted for. And you're talking about honesty and decency. Where is the honesty and decency in that? You're standing in a very facility that is so controversial, has so much money missing from that project, and you're talking about honesty and decency. You are an illegal government. You've been in there more than a year after your government fell on a no confidence vote in the National Assembly. Where is the decency in that? And so I urge people to pay attention to what is really happening. Do not get carried away by the carnival and by the fete that they create along their in their elections campaign. They have nothing to offer you. They have no vision, they have no plan, they don't even have the will to do any of this. And not to mention the confusion that is going on in the APNU AFC camp. You had on one day, the day of the Hope Town rally, you had about four times during that day we had breaking news. So the first breaking news for that day was Granger telling the media that he will not nominate a prime ministerial candidate before the elections, but that he will nominate one after the elections along with the rest of the cabinet. There are a couple of things wrong with that. The first thing wrong with that is that you can't nominate after the elections. You have to appoint after the elections. He said nominate. Maybe he made a mistake, but I think, this gentleman is just clueless. And I still give him the respect to call him a gentleman, but even that is questionable. So he said he's not naming a prime ministerial candidate, until after the elections. An hour or two after that, Harman says, yes, the president won't be naming a prime ministerial candidate before, but that it will be Ramjatan. And this is because the media went, social media blew up after David Granger said he wouldn't nominate a prime ministerial candidate before, because that is unprecedented. It has never happened before. And the voting public certainly does not deserve that kind of treatment. You deserve to know who you're voting for. At least if you've never looked at the list of candidates, you must at least know who you're voting for president, for the top two positions, president and prime minister. So Harman says, yes, the president won't name one before, but he will do so after the elections. About an hour after that, Ramjatan says he has no comment because the media ran over to him to get a comment from him. He doesn't have a comment. After that, Patterson said that the statement is both gratuitous and confusing, coming from David Granger, that David Granger is the statement from him is confusing. And by that night, David Granger and Ramjatan are arm in arm, and he announces that Kemraj Ramjatan will be the prime ministerial candidate. So this is the man that's running for president. In one day, all of those events that I just laid out there happened in one day, in maybe the course of 12 hours. This is the man that's running for president. This is the man that's asking you for his vote. That a decision as heavy as choosing the PM for our country, that he can change his mind from morning to night, just under pressure, just by putting a little pressure on him from the media, and as soon as he became aware of how bad it looked that he wasn't choosing a PM, he names Ramjatan. So there was no thought that went into that. He just, some pressure was applied, and he named a prime ministerial candidate. Now, if they can't get this right, if they can't sit down and be mature and, make a decision on who would be a better leader or who would be the best leaders in their party for this country, how can we trust them with the more important decisions? How do we trust them with the management of our oil and gas resources, for example? There is mayhem in their own camp. They're already sitting and so they have Basil Williams in the court fighting for people to be removed from the National Register of Registrants. You have them sitting and negotiating the Cummingsburg Accord that is top secret, that nobody has seen, but they're sitting down and dividing up the pie already. And you have this confusion about who the candidates will be. In the meantime, Guyanese are there, their supporters are there, and they're being taken for granted. All they are doing is trying to decide on their future. They're securing their future, and their supporters are taken for granted. And then they just put on a campaign, and they bring in some foreign artists, and they have a carnival in the place of a political campaign where they're supposed to stand there and tell you their vision, make their case to you as to why they should be reelected. But, because they've been such a failure in government, they can't do that. They can't come to you with anything solid. They can't come to you with their plans. It's just a bunch of slogans and talking now about a decade of development. And if they are forced to put some content in there, this is all we get. We built 4 new towns, and not we built, but we named 4 new towns, and there's going to be a decade of development, and they're talking about a green economy. Maybe the green economy they mean is to, like I said, paint buildings, public buildings green, and they're talking about a digital state. But we don't know what these things mean. There's no plan behind any of these slogans. And I don't know, I don't hear them talking about a manifesto or anything like that. So what are the APNU AFC supporters voting for? What is the plan that they are supporting? What is the vision that they are supporting? What type of future are they voting for? Because nobody knows. And, you know, the sad thing is that their leaders don't know either. And it's troubling when the leaders don't know that they don't know. And that's what's happening on the other side. They think they know everything, but they really know nothing. And what happens in these cases is the classic fallback. The fallback is to talk about JAGDEO, the fallback is to talk about the PPP, and the fallback is to raise up the demon that is racism. And so we heard the very, very offensive statement from Joseph Harmon regarding our prime ministerial candidate, Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, calling his appointment as our prime ministerial candidate black tokenism. So they talk about inclusivity and being an inclusive government, and then they go to certain communities, and this is what he says. This is what he said in Buxton, I believe it was. So if Mark Phillips can be referred to as his appointment or his nomination as PM, as black tokenism, what then is Kemraj Ramjatan and Nagamutu and Ubraj Narain? What do we call them? That's the problem. You see, that's the problem when we allow things like these to go unpunished. When our politicians can say these things with impunity. And this is the kind of gutter politics, this is the kind of nasty politics that we have to move away from. We have to hold our politicians accountable for the things they say, for the things they do. This is not substance. Joseph Harmon going on a platform and calling Mark Phillips his nomination as black tokenism should not be tolerated by anyone, by any Guyanese. You are running an elections campaign and you should be telling the people how you will improve their lives, how you will make education better, how you will make healthcare better, how you will keep us safe as a country. That is what we should be doing. This election should be about the issues. This election is serious. It is very, very serious because you're electing a government in a time when the eyes of the world are on us, and they're going to be foreigners in this country, and big investment has to take place. And if you don't have a government that knows how to manage, if you don't have a government that knows how to negotiate and represent our interests as Guyanese, we will not see the fruits of any of our resources and of any of the investments that are coming to our economy. So we need to put this country in capable hands. We need to put this country in the hands of people who actually have a plan for this economy. And they should be, you know, they say sometimes, oh, the United States and the UK, they're behind us. They put us in office. Sometimes they brag about that. If that is true, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. If that is true, then they should be ashamed to say that. Because you know why the United States or any other country would want to support them? Because they can dictate to them what to do. Because they can dance to the tune of colonizers. So that's the problem. We need a government that will stand up for our interests. We're not against foreign investment. We're not against foreigners being here. We welcome everyone. This is what will get our economy going. But at the same time, we have to protect the interests of Guyanese businesses. We have to protect the interests of ordinary Guyanese. We cannot have foreigners come into our country, reap our resources, enrich themselves, send all the money out of Guyana, and Guyanese get nothing for it. That has happened already, and we have to prevent it from continuing. We have to put a stop to it. And I said tonight I want to leave a little more time to hear from our viewers tonight. So I'm not going to go on much longer. But like I said, this election has to be decided on the issues, and we need a government that is trustworthy. And the APNU AFC are clearly untrustworthy. That is what you have to associate with them. Look at what happened with the first 18 million that came from the oil industry. It disappeared. The first 18 million, we still don't know where it is. And then the denial, the barefaced denial by not one or two, by about 3 or 4 persons, lying to the media, lying to the public, saying that they never received any money. Joseph Harmon, Minister of Finance, all of them lying openly that they never received this money when they did. Raphael Trotman, he signed right under the line that says that even if you hadn't read the entire contract, the very last line said that you're in receipt of this $18 million US dollars, and right under that is the dotted line where Raphael Trotman signed. If he didn't read anything else, he didn't see that last page, he didn't see that last line. So they lied openly, blatantly. And these are the people that are telling you that they're the best ones to manage the oil and gas resources or the oil and gas industry. So you have the proof, you have the evidence that these people, the persons who have been leading this country for the last 5 years, are grossly incompetent, they are dishonest, and they are untrustworthy. And come the 2nd of March, we implore all of our supporters, we implore all right-thinking Guyanese to do the right thing. You know what you have to do. You have to go out and you have to show the same force and the same confidence and the same bravery that you've been coming out with to our rallies and our meetings, and you have to go and put your X for the People's Progressive Party. Grab your neighbor, make sure if somebody needs help getting to a polling station, get transportation, assist in any way that you can, assist and work with your local organizers who are in your communities. If you need further information, speak to them, see what assistance you can give on election day. At 6 o'clock when the polls close, sometimes you get some characters there who want to come out and intimidate polling agents and so on. Maintain the peace. We don't want there to be any violence. We don't want any conflict, but we want our supporters to stand their ground and to ensure that there is order, especially at our polling stations and especially at 6 p.m. when it closes. Make sure our polling agents get out safely and get home safely. And let this election be about the issues, not about race. And don't let any politician divide us along those lines. Caller, you're on the air. Caller, good evening.
Hi, good night, Susan.
Good night.
I'm enjoying your program. Last Monday I called in, I mentioned I'm a taxi driver. I was speaking about Manchipur, right?
Yes.
The division commander was upset because I called on your program. You victimized and discriminated me. Because I called upon your program and told my story, he was an eye about it. You refused to talk to me, and this year you ranked someone dealing with the matter, they never catch the thief man, they lose the thief man, that is BB station and it's criminals work around. And because I called upon your program and talk about it, the C division commander was upset. And he victimize and discriminate. They can't talk when you get robbed. You must not report when you get robbed. With yourself, I was beaten up to now. I get the pain in my head. And the thief, the jacker, is on the East Coast, patrolling on the road.
Well, caller, again, last week I was very disturbed by your story, and
Yes.
I still am. And I urge you to continue to call in. We have to highlight these issues. We have to expose it.
Sit down, listen to your program. And when you sit down, listen to your program, and all who call here, where you go to these people, them the victimize and discriminate. The C Division Commander doing that on the East Coast. And the CID ranks in charge of crime for the East Coast. The inspector is one of them, and the corporal. The thief man tag in BV station. I will pay the police and walk out. And continue job, hijacking cars. Taxi drivers driving fair right now. I up the road, hustling for $1. They come beating you, take me your car, we go to the police. The only thief man get the station, they losing them. Already calling, we go to the media, the divisional commander them vexing with you. Yeah, you when people rob you, Mr. Easy, and Mr. Say nothing. Thank you very much. I enjoy your program, right?
All right, caller. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you again for coming through. I empathize with that caller, and this is classic APNU AFC behavior. This kind of discrimination. This government finds all kinds of ways to discriminate against ordinary Guyanese, and this is just one of those. Caller, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, comrade.
Good evening.
Comrade, I am urging all my party supporters like myself, all the right-thinking Guyanese, let's go out en masses on March the 2nd.
That's right.
We are not accepting nothing less than 36 seats on March the 2nd. We wanted that rally in Albion sent shivers down all of them spine. And it is the biggest. I thought I would have never seen a bigger rally than 1992 because I was there, but Sunday was the biggest I ever saw, and that's magnificent. We have been united right now behind Dr. A. Finale and the champion class Super. Yes, he was a former boss. Super is there, so yeah, I know he's a very stringent person.
You were in the army?
The discipline. See?
You were in the army?
Yes, I am. Was. Yes. Retired. And that's great. So Super is the champion class. 2IC, we call them the 2IC to the Chief Dr. A. Finale. So we wish that slate well, and we hope we can do far better than 36. I'm asking for 36, but we want more if the Guyanese people
We
come
want
out
more.
and masses.
That's right. And
Thank you,
I was so, and I thank you for your service in our forces. And like the caller said, it was so, I felt proud to be Guyanese. I felt proud. I wasn't at the Albion rally, like I said, because I had a few meetings in Linden, but I was there on nomination day, and I stood among our supporters, and they were so strong and they were so eager to get us to the Humanayana so we can submit our list. And even though there were APNU supporters there who were waiting to confront us, nobody was afraid. They kept pushing forward. They forced the police to react quickly because we were not waiting. We were charging ahead. We were going to do what we went there to do. We were going about our business, APNU supporter or no APNU supporter. We were moving forward, we were moving ahead, and the police quickly got themselves together and form a human barricade so that we can pass. But whether they had done that or not, I just had a feeling that our supporters were not going to be intimidated on that day. And even though I was proud to witness that, it saddened me that 5 years of destruction is what caused that. 5 years of the depressive measures of this government is what caused that. But the 2nd of March is not far away, and redemption is very, very close. Caller, good evening.
A very good evening to you. It is quite obvious that the next election is total PPC victory. But the most important thing at this time is for you guys to continue with all eyes on GCOM, voters list and all the necessary things to ensure a free and fair election, as well as polling day around the polling station, ensure the safety of the polling officers and people not intimidated around polling polling stations going out
Yes.
to vote. Now you may wonder why I'm saying PPP victory is quite obvious and overwhelming. Can I share with you why I'm saying so?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. If the AFC during its inception and these things was able to go into PPP areas and get voters and these things, well, everybody is free to vote for who they want to vote for.
Caller, sorry to cut you. I just want you to speak up a little bit so our viewers
Okay.
just want to make sure that they can hear you.
Okay, why I'm saying that the PPP victory is quite obvious. The AFC, when it was formed in 2005, it contested the 2006 elections, and they were able to gain 6 seats, if I'm quite correct. And most of those seats, most of those persons that supported them, for them to gain that seat, and if they gained that seat, is over 1,000 voters there had to be. And most of those voters came from PPP supporters who supported the AFC. In 2011, the AFC got 7 seats. Once again, was able to penetrate most PPP areas and gain those votes. And these things. Much of those votes didn't come from traditional PNC supporters or Amerindian communities. And if they do this, which wasn't quite a lot, but most of the votes that they get for those seats, it came from PPP area. And currently now what I'm seeing that is quite obvious. The AFCs cannot contribute any votes into APNU. Because most of those people who have supported them felt betrayed, even almost like 90%.
Yes.
So there's a total PPP victory ahead, but the most important is very quite this. Guys focus on GCOM, ensuring that there is transparency and the election is free and fair, and as well as around polling stations and these things. The importance of here, and if the international community can play a major concern and share their concern and ensure that it's a free and fair election, obviously there is going to be a PPP victory.
Well, we are certainly doing our part. Our commissioners on the GCOM are certainly doing their part, and we have our eyes wide open, and we're going to tie up any loose ends. So we are doing our part, but we can't do it alone. And this is why we're urging all of our supporters to let them be aware that they have a stake in this, that we have to do this together. We can only come out with this victory if we work together. We have to work together. We have to see that there is a role for each and every one of us outside of voting. Voting is one, but there is a role for each and every one of our supporters out there.
Yeah, well,
And as long as we can deliver a massive victory, no amount of rigging that they try will work.
yes, in certain areas, whereas in 2015, where there was quite chaos around polling stations and so on, there shouldn't be a repeat in this election and these things, which they will try to do in these things and so on. So, from whichever way of authority, well, they're in authority right now, but in whichever way possible, these things should be ensured. Because, and then again, on the other hand, if a district or a polling station in these things, there is a certain amount of voters who will be registered on that list. And whenever the ballots are counted for this, it cannot surpass that number of persons registered to vote.
Right.
So there's quite clear one way in which they can know that there is any skullduggery in the area or any, double voting or any kind of thing and so on. So in a situation like that, that is quite transparent, they can be accounted for.
Yes.
Okay, well, once that is,
All right.
people will go out and vote. People will go out and vote, and personally, I've seen that all the Amerindian communities and people who, they're just mobilized, but everyone is worried about the situation in GCOM. They may try to rig the election, is the opinion of everybody. We are not directly accusing, but everybody entitled to their own opinion. So that's what we like.
Well, but this is how we counter that, and that's why we're urging our supporters to stand their ground. Okay, caller, thank you very much for your contribution. Let's see who else we have here. Caller, good evening.
Good evening. Yes, you listening?
Yes, we're listening. Go ahead.
Them things that you say out at the Paya manifesto and things that like Nancy, I don't think that will ever come true. How you can cut
out of them passing on to this and to that. Where the money coming from?
Caller, are you listening now?
And this thing, yes.
Okay, those taxes that we will be removing were not there before. This is not anything new. Taking the VAT off of water, electricity, 200 essential items, data, that was there before. We did it before. We can do it again. Isn't that so? You paid VAT under the PPP for water? Hello? This is the problem. This is the problem that, you know, we can't have a proper debate because they have nothing to contribute. What are you defending? There's nothing to defend on the APNU AFC side. Just by cutting the excesses, we've spoken about the $88 billion more in taxes that they are collecting annually. $88 billion more than was previously collected under the PPP administration. Just by cutting that, we can improve the lives of ordinary Guyanese. It wasn't there before. The money, the excesses, the wastage on food and travel and all of these things for ministers. They've grown government from 17 ministers to 27 ministers. Those are monies that we're paying. Where are we getting the money from? That's money we can save with the size of government that they have. And they have 27 ministers, but they still don't have a Ministry of Labor to protect our Guyanese citizens who are working on oil rigs, working for $72,000 a month, 28 days a week, 12-hour shifts. We don't have a proper labor department. It's been relegated to a labor department now. We don't have anybody there looking out for the interests of Guyanese. So by cutting these excesses and this wastage, we can save a lot of money, a ton of money, and we will be putting people back to work. The housing sector alone will create so many jobs with rejuvenating that industry alone. We will create so many jobs, put people back to work and get the economy going again. We have a comprehensive plan. If anybody wants to know what the plan is, they can go and read it. So, you know, they got me started tonight. Caller, good evening. Hello.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, good evening.
Good night.
Good night.
You know, the campaign you had in Kitty, right?
Uh-huh.
When you go and strain up your voice and so, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you go on them campaign no more. You don't come for campaign, you come for logics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And articulation. I don't tell Mr. Jack, I don't want
Straining up my voice all the time.
Your voice must be preserved to do this program. Okay? I send in a warranty. Anyway, you was talking at the PNC and they ain't got nothing to present. The last election, the campaign, they promised the people them oil in 2020. This is 2020. Where is the oil and the oil money? Right? This is the campaign, all right? That is why they don't explain to the people them about the oil and the oil money with the campaign in 2015 about. Right? That is one of the biggest lie the dark and the thing. But right now, if you understand the logic of racism and the ideology of racism, you don't need the campaign. They know that their supporters are going to vote because of racial prejudice, right? So they have to present something. You gotta understand this country is
but the mistake, caller, even though we may have some voters who vote along the lines of race, the miscalculation is that there are not enough persons like that to deliver a victory. We as Guyanese, we're moving past that.
No, well, here now.
So they never plan to win a free and fair elections, you know.
No, that's what I'm
They've
saying.
put this plan in place a long time, beginning with the illegal appointment of the GCOM chair.
They are calculating on the racial voting pattern and also on something named rigging, right? Now, let me move on. Mr. Mark Phillips, all the narrative they had about the PPP and the killing and all this one-sided narrative they had, right? That it was Jack New and all the PPP killing. how is it a decent man, a decent soldier like Mr. Mark Phillips, right, could go on the PPP platform? It got some problem. That is a negation of the whole narrative. It shows that their narrative is not authentic. For half a man like Mark Phillips, he doesn't have to do nothing. His presence alone there and his partnership with the PPP is
right. They don't attract anybody. Nobody ever gets attracted to nobody of substance goes and joins their camp.
Is a stark, what is the word? Evidence.
Look who they gotta bring out. People like Aubrey Norton and them, washed up politicians. They have to go and bring out to get across their message.
He doesn't have to do his presence alone in the PPP. Destroy and decimate the whole story with the hat about Jack View and the killing and all these wrong things that he did. Because for a man like him to be there, it means that something is definitely wrong within the army and within the PNC, right? And one more thing about the elections. I think the problem of the election is not really the voting. I be very sure that y'all are going to get the votes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, as you said, the intimidation of the polling places and getting those statements opposed, right? And GCOM of itself, that's where the problem is. I don't think the problem is really at the voting.
No, we are aware of that. We know we have the support. That's why we're.
But y'all gotta make preparation and put things in place.
And we are doing.
The rigging doesn't happen.
We are doing our best.
You understand? You gotta get the statement proposed in order, going back to GCOM and making sure that GCOM, because I feel that is the weakness of the PPP. That part of the system. Okay?
Okay, caller.
Okay, and don't go. I want to see a no more rally. You come for rally, right? You come for this program.
Listen, on Thursday, my speaking engagements is 10 a.m., 12 p.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m. I'll be on the Linden Highway. 4 meetings on Thursday. We gotta get the message out. We have to visit these communities, and we have to.
This message is getting out here. Right? This is
it's nothing like when you go in person, you get to meet people.
Country.
Yeah.
Right? This is a more important message. You're reaching a wider range of people on here, you understand?
I get you. I hear you.
Preserve the vice back.
All right, caller. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here this evening. Unfortunately, we're out of time. And I don't know where the hour goes when I'm on Making the Case, I enjoy coming to you and making the case every week, and I have a good evening to all of our viewers and listeners. Have a safe week. I look forward to the meetings for the rest of the week. I look forward to visiting these communities and speaking to the residents in person. I enjoy meeting all of you, and those of you who are watching, please have a safe week, and I will see you next week. Good night.